They need a marketing director. Now, defined what a marketing director does or a marketing manager sounds exactly who I am, exactly what I do, and exactly what I would have ever wanted to do. And there was an instinct within me that said, don't move forward with this job. But there was another one that said, are you always going to wonder if you don't try it? So I was beating myself up for a while because I did go try it. So as full-time marketing manager, I lasted 2 weeks. The management wasn't what I had thought. The training wasn't what I had thought. The company wasn't what I had thought. And I just was, every single day, my heart was heavy for not being able to then put my time toward the business, which it desperately needed. But I was giving myself a rough time for messing that up and giving that a try. And that, a little voice came in my head about a few weeks later that said, it was kind of like my dad, saying, well, all I ever wanted you to do was try your best. And that's so true. If I got a mediocre or a bad grade on my report card, he would say, did you try your best? And 99% of the time I didn't. I was just trying to skate by. So I know what those words mean about getting up and trying. And, I'm a Facebook person and Instagram and all that good stuff. And there's this one guy I follow, and it's all about his little newborn baby. And I was reminded the other day, and I know this is an old, analogy, and I know it's been said before, but it really is true. When you watch a baby and they're trying to pull themselves up on the couch, or they're trying to walk, and I mean, really, really think about that. If you don't have babies around you, or you did raise a baby, or you had a little brother or sister, remind yourself how many times it took for that baby to try and get back up or to try and walk. There isn't a number. It's every single time they fall, they try and get back up. Every time. So it's not how many times does it take a baby to be able to walk? There is none. It's infinity. You probably couldn't count the times. And eventually they learn to walk, but they still stagger around a little bit and kind of hang on to the wall, as they're going down the hallway. And they fall down and they crawl for a little bit. And then they stand back up and they walk. And that moment, those elements never, ever, ever change throughout the rest of your life. Well, think about that. Relationships fail. Someone passes away. You lose a job. You get fired from a job. You're flat out broke and you get a speeding ticket. Those are all things that come into our life, and sometimes we have to crawl for a little bit, or we have to kind of lean on the wall a little bit and kind of feel our way out of a situation. I mean, it's not just an analogy, it is the perfect one, because it's exactly what we do. There was times last year after I had lost my job, which I absolutely loved, which I thought I would have forever, and there I was laid off, and I was just trying to figure out how to manage throughout the day. Off and on. Some moments in my day were great, but then some moments were not. And so fear and doubt and guilt and all of these sort of negative feelings would take place. So then that might be a moment where I was maybe a little bit more crawling because I wasn't sturdy enough to stand back up. But somehow with prayer and love, you'll find a way to get back up. And the thing that is doing that to us, there's only one singular thing. We all have different physical capabilities. Some people are stronger than others. Some people can stand and run and walk and not have any tire, it doesn't make them tired doing those things. Some people can barely do those things. Some people are bound to wheelchairs. But it's what we feed our mind. So if you're in a situation, you are in a situation like I was, where it was the uncertainty. Just say uncertainty, I fed my mind for breakfast. Say I fed my mind fear for lunch and self-doubt for dinner. What is going to come from that? What comes from that? Fear, doubt, uncertainty. And I become scared, and then you have a restless night, or you don't react the way that you should to your loved ones. But if I woke up and fed my mind for breakfast a little bit of a can-do attitude, had some trying for lunch, and some accolades for dinner, that's an entirely different human. That's an entirely different thought process. So what today is about is this world needs people feeding their minds with different things other than what they're feeding their mind with. The numbers that we have in great volume, there's a lot of hatred, lack of knowledge, and fear out there. And as long as that population that feels that way gets to feed the rest of us that's the way that they feel, and it can be anybody. It can be anybody on the street, anybody at work in their job. It can be politicians, actors, actresses. If we allow ourselves to listen to them and feed us, then that is the result of who we're going to be. And that is not what God had in mind. That is not what God had in mind. So if it isn't what God had in mind, then who does have that in mind? The adversary. And if he's winning and he's filling everybody with hate, and there's all this hate and blame and shame and guilt and self-doubt and fear, then he wins. So the only thing that we have control of, I can't control the people that hate or want to spread vile, disgusting things throughout the world and the universe. I can't control them. All I can control is these words coming out of my mouth, my daily activities, and with the hope of possibly giving somebody a more positive outlook or a positive way to change. But I don't know that. The only thing I know is that if I don't try this, 100%, I will not have affected someone's life in a positive way. Think about this. Did you ever study for a test and really study hard? And you felt very confident going into the test. Then you took the test, and it's not at all what you thought. The questions are a little bit different and worded different than what you thought. And You absolutely think you failed. But you studied all the elements, you read all the chapters, you did everything you were supposed to do. I relate this also to when I did a speaking engagement once. I thought I knew my audience. I was expecting a certain group, and it was actually supposed to be a women's group. But on that particular night, it was a night when they could bring their husbands. So my audience completely changed. I had written all of these things to motivate, inspire, interact with women, and then there were a bunch of men in the audience too. So we've got a couple of situations there. And lo and behold, a few days later, you get your test back. You got 100. You got an A+. But for 3 days, you fed your mind with, oh my God, I know I did lousy on that test. And I can remember when I was giving that speech, I had sweat rolling down my back. And I was like, I am failing at this. You know, the men aren't getting it. They think it's stupid. And I was allowing that to get to me. So for the time that I was speaking, doing that speaking engagement, I'm thinking all these things, I'm feeding. I was hoping it wasn't affecting my performance and the message I wanted to get out, the positive message I wanted to get out to these women. But at the end, I wrapped it up, and I'm kind of gathering my things. And the majority of the men that were there came up and thanked me and said, I know this was geared towards the women's group and everything, but what you said really changed my life. But get it? I was feeding myself fear, self-doubt. The same thing happened with the test. And then the next thing you know, you not only did well on the test, you got 100 and that big fat A+. It's what we feed our mind is the result of who we are. Period. You know, it's springtime. We're planting plants, flowers. Well, you can't put a flower in the ground and just let it go for the rest of the season. This is elementary, I know, but it means a lot when you think about it this way. We are no different. If I don't give it water, if I don't make sure the weeds don't crowd it, if I don't give it some plant food once in a while, that will not grow. We will die. We will not grow. Our minds will become stale and go on autopilot of thinking blame, shame, guilt, fear, uncertainty. Because that's going to be our status quo. If we aren't intercepting that with, ask yourself open-ended questions. What am I supposed to do? Where should I go? What are the ingredients that I need to fill in so that I know that I'm enriching my life and others? It's that simple. So I have many, many ideas for what I'm doing for the business, and it got to the point to where that actually was halting me from doing what I was supposed to be doing. Because I was getting all scattered, and then I became overwhelmed. And I had to funnel it down and fine-tune it and have it make sense to specific things that I needed to focus on. So your mind, be careful how you use it. Feed it the right things, the right nurturing. I think it is the part of our body, a lot of people exercise, take walks, inhale, exhale. We eat. Some of us eat healthier than others.